there are two fears which I experienced in my own journey, and I know that every single of my client experience, and that's a fear of failure, what if. But there's also the fear which is way stronger, and that's a fear of success.
True. Yeah.
Because the responsibility they feel that's going to come with the success, that they're going to have to change everything, that they're going to have to keep the way what they achieved.
Yeah.
It's actually feeling like there's so much of effort that they don't want to even go that way, because they can't imagine, because they've never been there. They failed 5 times, 20 times, 50 times. They can imagine how it's going to feel. It's going to suck, but they can get through it and they will try it all over again.
Yeah.
But actually succeeding, that's a huge drive into not even starting.
All right. Hello and welcome everybody to the Your Best Self podcast. My name is Robert Hurt, and today I have the honor to be interviewing Vera Prazak. Now, Vera is a holistic nutritionist. She's helping mainly women who are struggling with emotional eating and weight problems to live the best life that they can live and really be the stars of every single day. She was born and raised in Chezch Republic, but she ended up traveling to the other side of the world, to New Zealand, where she is now living and where she started her own business. Now, we're going to go into nutrition, why it is so important to you and for entrepreneurs as well, and what does it really mean to really tap into your body, I would say, and be the best that you can from a physical point of view and from the nutritional point of view. So if that is something that you're interested in and want to know more about, then definitely stick around and listen to this interview. So with that said, Vera, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and staying up late a little bit longer from New Zealand. How are you doing today?
Hey, thank you very much, Robert, for having me. I'm so super excited to share with you my story, because I think it's quite amazing. And also sharing a little bit more about, why it's so important to actually take care of yourself before you take care of everyone else.
Yeah, that's actually very true. And I just want to tap into that, very quickly. That's, one piece of advice that my mom always gave me, which I, growing up really didn't really understand. That was always take care of yourself first, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. How can you love other people if you cannot love yourself? And that, piece of advice just stuck with me, till this day. And, it now gets more and more real and, more and more beneficial, the more I think about it. So, that's really cool that we're going to be talking about that. So Vera, please share with us your story. How did it all begin and how did you get to where you are today?
Wow. So I'm going to take it in a short way, because
okay.
All right. Pretty much my whole story of how I got into nutrition and how I actually got into New Zealand. So, when my mom passed away when I was about 15 years old, I knew that I have to provide for the world. I just felt that there is something I have to fulfill my need to provide and to take care of someone else. And because my mom was always really great cook, and she always took us and led us into great nutrition, I felt the urge to, grow in this sphere. And that's why I decided to study a university based on human nutrition and holistic health. And more and more I dive into this amazing journey, more I understand how my mom's wisdom was actually staying with me and taking me to, leading me to take these deeper and deeper and deeper. And I didn't stop with just a simple nutritionist, because after I finished my university degree, I started working in a clinic with disordered eating. And that's where I started to see that actually the food is only about 10 or 15% of what we are. And the rest of our health, of our mental and physical well-being, is actually about the emotions, is about the habits, is about the fear and everything which comes together, and the mindset. So that led me into, opening up my my own practice, because quite frankly, I stayed about 3 years in the clinic with disordered eating, but that was so frustrating and draining and so fulfilling at the same time. But seeing all the poor women dying of diets, literally dying of diets. I knew that I have to do something about that. And then since then, I started speaking my truth about how diet's never going to help you to get where you need to go. But if you actually want to change something in your life, you have to start looking at the things in a different way.
Yeah. And that was all in Chezch Republic still, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because that's also very interesting that, that, you know, food is just sort of like the surface level, right? It's just like, it's sort of, if you fight the food, like eating disorders, it's sort of like, you know, going after the symptoms of the actual, you know, problem, but not really going to the root cause, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like if you look at where we are living now, like we are living in a world abundant in food. Not yes, unless we're looking at like a third world countries, maybe somewhere in Africa and like really aboriginals and things, people like that. We all have abundance of food and we have access to food any single time of the day.
True.
And why are we dying of health problems? Why are we more sick than we've been 50 years ago, 100 years ago? Because we are taking shortcuts and we are not taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that there is one perfect way of living and eating. That's not. But you have to actually understand what is the cause of causing you to gain weight and feel crappy and not wanting to show up for yourself, and how you can change it.
Yeah.
You know,
interesting.
And my whole journey, you know, like actually getting into this entrepreneurship, I never thought I'm gonna be like, I always knew I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. Since I was 15 years old, I started working in, the funny thing, I started working as the kitchen aide in a male monastery.
Okay.
Oh my God. So,
right.
That was my first experience with food and actually feeding people and seeing how the love for food can actually feed not just the body, but the soul as well.
True.
And then I was just continuing to like kitchen aid. And then I never became a chef because despite I love cooking, but I went into the nutrition way. But at some point I knew that I need to change something in my life. And I knew that living in a Czech was something which I love and admire, and I never could imagine to live anywhere else in the world. Like my English was really bad. Like I couldn't even ask for pizza pretty much. And when my, in those times, a friend pretty much asked me if I want to go to New Zealand. I'm like, I don't even know where it is.
Where is that? What is that? Yeah.
And he's like, that's where The Hobbit was filmed. I'm like,
oh, really?
And The Lord of the Rings. I'm like, okay, well, why not?
Yeah.
And I'm like, how long you want to go for? And he's like, what about a year? I'm like, well, I'm not really sure about that, but we'll figure it out. So I pretty much put on hold my career or my clients and everything back home. Everything just handed over to my really, really good friend, which I knew that she's going to look after quite well. But then I arrived in New Zealand and I was amazed. Firstly, I couldn't understand the world in here. Secondly, I was amazed how all these people were actually so genuine and nice and just hearty that I felt in love with this country. And I didn't know, like my goal wasn't to stay in here. My goal was to enjoy the year the best of my abilities I could and then go back home. I'm here 8 years now.
Wow. So you stayed there, or did you actually, after the year, went back to Chezch Republic and then came back?
That's the beauty. And that's what I try to keep saying to everyone. If you focus on something you want and you dread really, like if I would decide when I came to New Zealand that I love it so much, I want to stay in here, it would never happen. But because I focused on the journey and on the possible things, on the next steps, that's like with the business as well. If you say, I'm going to become a millionaire, you will never be one. But if you will have the mindset that there is a possibility for you to become a millionaire, and you have absolutely amazing business, you're going to start taking the aligned steps to get you in there. So after the first year, we knew we can extend our visa for another 3 months. We did. And in those 3 months, we got a job offer. And I'm like, okay, well, we can stay in here till the 2 years time, and then we'll go home. And then we got another job offer and extended our visa. And then also it was like 3 years and 3.5 years. And our family was like, you're never coming back. And we're like, no, we'll come back. I am staying here. And then was a time when we actually been here for about 4 years. And I'm like, well, it actually looks like we're going to stay in here. So I'm not going to work in, hospitality anymore because I have my nutrition is my passion and I need to do something about it. But I wasn't confident in my language. I wasn't confident that I can actually speak proper English and not even coach in English. Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But the passion was so big and so much that I actually started taking the steps in order to, talk to people about nutrition just while I was working and gaining the confidence. And then 5 years later, we applied for our residency.
Wow.
So that's the possibility to stay in New Zealand for a little bit longer. By the time we already knew that we probably, if we get a residency, we're going to stay here. But we didn't get it.
Oh, no.
We were like,
bummer. Yeah.
And that was like 5.5 years in a time. And honestly, about, 10 grand later about the residency. And I said to my now husband, but still friend, my boyfriend back then, well, we need to try it again. We just need to try it again because it just didn't meant to be, because we needed to make more aligned steps.
Yeah.
And then another 10 grand later, a year longer, we got it.
Wow.
We got a residency, and we got it when we were on a holiday in Bali. So it was the best time to get it.
Yeah.
And that was the time where we came home from holiday. And once I was holding my residency visa in my hand, so pretty much after 6 years, I opened up my nutrition clinic in here.
Nice.
And I was scared.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, like, why if no one's going to come? What's going to happen? And I was scared as hell, but I knew that I need to speak my truth. Yeah. And I know that there are so many women who needs help. And I was packed from the first day.
Really?
I was packed.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's awesome. And it always, came back to, as you have been sort of like 15 years old, where you thought like, I need to provide something to the world. I need to speak my truth. I need to really, impact it in a way that I can really, help other people do that. So, it always, kept with you, as you've been traveling, as you've been, on your journey, to New Zealand. Yes. And then you realize like, I need to go back to the roots. I need to go back to what I'm really passionate about and, speak my truth basically there. Right.
Yeah. The problem was that I was actually so packed at the beginning that I almost burned out.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was so stoked that I could open up my own clinic on the other side of the world, like in a place where I didn't even know it existed 6 years ago. That my prices were so low that anyone could come to me, because I was literally offering all my knowledge for free. And that led me to burnout.
Wow. Yeah.
And the burnout led me into the most amazing thing that happened to me. Meeting my business coaches, of which I didn't even know that they are business coaches. They were just a couple of people passing through New Zealand. Yeah. And we sat in a cafe for a day, like just chatting. And they're like, why aren't you working online? I'm like, well, because I just like 4 months ago opened the clinic in here. I don't want to really work online. Yeah. And they're like, but you're going to burn out this way. And 2 months later, I burn out.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And now before we're going to go into, how you then, proceeded, going online with your business, obviously this whole journey seems like you had to have a lot of faith in sort of just the journey in itself. And you also already said like, sort of like trust the process, enjoy the journey, and not have like this destination that you as an end goal want to reach, but more focus on the journey, like the most. But obviously that might have been a lot, of scary moments, a lot of uncertainty involved, where you just didn't know what is going to happen. Like you literally traveled to the end of the world. You don't know the language really well. You don't know where is the money going to come from. How did you deal with, this uncertainty and this perhaps, fear? Has there been more excitement behind that fueled you, or was there something else that gave you the power to do that?
I think the one thing which I knew is that I can always go back to where I was. So, when we started working in New Zealand, and that was on a kiwi fruit orchard, picking up kiwi fruit. Yeah. We've been paid about $250 a week. Okay. Which is New Zealand dollars. So that's like $150 American a week.
Yeah. Okay.
That's below the minimum wage. And we didn't know we've been ripped off.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And 4 months later, still working in there, we just said, well, that was enough. And we moved. And if someone would tell me, like, with literally about $2,000 in my pocket,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm going to be able to stay in New Zealand and buy a house and
Mm-hmm.
to build my business and live a life of my dreams, I would say this is impossible.
Yeah.
But because because I focus on the moments and I
Mm-hmm.
always made the most of where I was, that always kind of led me into
Yeah.
abundance of love, abundance of trust, abundance of money. It's some sort of way, like we never, like, even though we never had enough of money, we
Mm-hmm.
never had not enough
Yeah.
to do
Mm-hmm.
things we wanted to.
Yeah.
And that's something which a lot of people forget on their journey, that they always worry about what if.
Mm.
They live in a future and they live in a
Yeah.
fear of the future.
True.
And they're forgetting about the present. Like, we were like, oh, we've got $300 in our account. We can travel for another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yay!
That's awesome. Yeah.
We
Mm-hmm.
didn't worry about what's going to happen in two
Mm.
weeks when we're not going to find a job.
Yeah.
Because we knew that if we allow ourselves to find it, there's
Mm.
always going to be something.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I believe like a lot of people struggle with this, what if cycle, right? Especially
Mm.
entrepreneurs who have a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of, fear of failure, fear
Yeah.
of judgment. This what if is probably one of the most common questions, that is popping into your mind. And it's just like this little voice, what if you fail? And what if people will judge you? And what if you go out of money and this business idea is not going to work out and all of that? You obviously dealt with that with believing in the possibility, just trusting sort of the process, trusting the universe that it will provide whatever you need in order to continue with your journey, right?
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
mm-hmm. That's
It's,
awesome.
I don't want to say, I don't want to sound weird, but it's not like blindly believing. Like,
Yeah.
you just felt the presence that whatever you will choose right.
Yeah.
And as I said, we didn't plan to, buy a house or something in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not like something you had to build on, but
Yeah.
rather enjoying and taking it step by step and say, okay, well, the next thing is we would love to go on a holiday to Bali. So we need to save that much money. In order to save money, you have to do that.
Yeah.
And then you just take aligned steps.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that's the same with business, and that's the same with health.
Mm. And so it's a great way, to live, just be in a present moment, because, as always, if you ask like, what if, you always sort of jump into the future, but really forget to live in the now and in the present moment.
Mm.
And also, as you said, like, just believe in the possibility that it's possible, because if you don't believe in yourself and if you don't believe in it actually being a real possibility, you will subconsciously sabotage yourself and you will never get to that point of actually achieving it, right? Because you don't believe it's real. Right. So
Yes.
that's, as an entrepreneur, like that's probably one of the most important foundational steps that you need to take, is just believing in yourself and believing in a possibility that whatever you want to achieve is actually possible to achieve.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think this is, this comes to everything, as entrepreneur in health, in your own business life, if you're not entrepreneur, in your personal life. Like,
Yeah.
if you're looking for the prince,
Mm.
you're never gonna find them. But
Yeah.
if you're looking for a lifetime partner, or someone just you're gonna enjoy these beautiful things with, all of a sudden he's gonna be there,
Yeah.
because you will allow yourself to see the possibilities of the person
Mhm.
rather than looking for perfection.
Yeah, that's true. And the keyword perfection is obviously also very, very important, especially for entrepreneurs who are dealing a lot of perfectionism, right? That they don't start before it's, everything is aligned, everything is perfect,
Oh,
the
yeah.
logo is the right one, the branding is done, the colors are chosen. How did you had, in your journey, have you
Yeah.
had to deal with perfectionism?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You wouldn't believe, like,
Mm-hmm.
when someone told me that I can start working online, like become actually a real entrepreneur, even though I thought I'm an entrepreneur already pretty much since my 18 years old, when I
Yeah.
started my first businesses back home.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, well, I need a website, I
Yeah.
need copy, I
Uh-huh.
need office, I need a
Mm-hmm.
perfect furniture, I need like,
Yeah.
so I was stressing out about the perfect color for my wall before
Mm.
I would actually take my first client in. And because by nature, I'm workaholic. I
Yeah.
love working,
Mm-hmm.
but I also love to being perfect, because we
Mm-hmm.
all love to be perfect.
True.
I had to let go of all of the things
Mm-hmm.
because they literally ruined my life.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't care if I have 2 typos in an email which I write to my client,
Yeah.
because they know me
Yeah.
and they know that I'm not perfect, and
Mm-hmm.
they shouldn't be perfect either.
Yeah, and it's a great way, to communicate, but also, great way to live, because I believe, like, I have been a perfectionist all my life, and it, goes back to my childhood, where I just tried to do everything right so I don't not get punished, but not look dumb,
Yeah.
in front of others. And it really was such a sabotaging behavior, where, especially if you're listening to this, and you can probably relate, if you are having any kind of business idea, or you want to build an online business, or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, and you're constantly worrying about those small granular details, which in the end won't matter probably at all, if even just a little bit. But one thing that you got to understand is that usually you can change it, you can change it around whenever you want to. The logo doesn't need to be the best logo which you're going to be carrying on for the rest of your life. The business name can change, everything can change. The most important thing is actually just getting started, which I believe is one of the hardest steps to do, getting started and really taking action on the idea that you have, because a lot of perfectionism, because a lot of, procrastination, gets on, like, in front of your path, that you need to sort of, filter out, and then actually do the thing that actually will produce results. But lots of people, they just do the busy work. They do the granular details first, because they seem so easy, and they give you the perception of actually making progress, while in the end, you just keep yourself busy, and you have the perception of making progress, but you are actually not really doing it.
Exactly. It's just busying yourself with
Yeah.
something which actually doesn't prove anything.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, I've had 500 calls this week.
Yeah.
So
Really?
where's your new clients? Oh, well.
Well, 10 said maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Leading into perfectionism leads into you overworking yourself, into
Yeah.
overthinking everything, and it
Mm-hmm.
leads into overwhelming. And once you're
Yeah.
overwhelmed, you actually step aside from your business. You step
Yeah.
aside from your core. And at the end, you try to serve, when I was opening my business, and I wanted to provide the service, which I always did for my
Mhm.
clients, I thought that I need to help everyone. So I was helping with psoriasis, with gluten intolerance, with
Mhm.
sports nutrition and everything. But at the end, I didn't help anyone.
Yeah. Mhm.
And niching down actually is one thing which is the most amazing thing you can do, not just for yourself, but for your clients.
True.
Because at the end, you will have the answer you need to have.
Mhm.
And you are not worrying about, I didn't read those 5 books, which I promised myself I will do before my first client.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to watch this seminar. I need to watch this webinar. I need to do this course. And I need to take 5 more universities before I'll actually need and know
Yeah.
everything.
Uh-huh.
No, you
Yeah.
don't.
Exactly. And it's also, very important, what you're saying, that a lot of people don't get started because they have the perception that they don't know enough, that they are not the expert yet. Right. And I believe that's, big misconception when it comes to sharing your knowledge with others, because a lot of people don't do that, as I said, because they don't feel they are expert enough to do that. But as long as you are sort of one step ahead, one chapter ahead of the other person that you can share something with, you in their eyes basically become the expert in a way. Obviously, you should know what you're talking about in order to be able to teach it, because there are like way too many people out there that are trying to become coaches and mentors and all of that have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, but just got some kind of blueprint or script and now going down. But also, one thing that you said is, niching down is also very important, because that's something that I have been struggling with, quite a lot, where I just try to please everybody. I just want to reach everybody and help everybody. But in the end, you don't help anybody, because you are not specific enough in who you want to talk to and how you want to solve the problems. And as you said, like, the more you niche down, the more you can really focus and deep dive on this one specific problem that they have and become an expert for that. And that not only is going to benefit the clients because they know that you are the expert for that problem, but as you said, you're not going to have those constant worries of like, okay, I need to know this and this and that and this, before you actually get started, right?
Yeah, the one thing I learned the most is it's actually okay to say, I don't know. or
Yeah.
I don't know the answer,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, I don't know now. I will make a research and I'll find out. You don't always have to have an answer. And if you
Yeah.
don't, you actually raise on the quality as a coach, as a
Hmm.
healer, as anyone, as a whatever you want to be.
Yeah. Very
Because
true.
you can actually allow to say that you are not flawless, you are not
Hmm.
perfect, but you will do everything in order to find the answer for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I believe that's such a much better way, to communicate, as like, because sometimes you pretend to know it all, but in the end you don't. And it makes you, feel, internally you feel off. If you say you know something
Yeah,
but you don't, and you pretend to know something and be all, and you just give this picture, especially on social media, you just give this picture of this super successful entrepreneur that knows it all, and all of that. But in the end, I feel like if you just be honest with your clients and just tell them like, hey, I have no idea about this, but I will find it out. I feel like this is such a better connection between the both of you, because, as you said, you show them that you are not flawless and they don't need to be flawless as well. Right. And it just builds this genuine connection, as like a mentor, mentee, or coach, coachee relationship there. Yeah.
yeah, especially in the relation, as you said, especially in the relationship, when people feel like they have the perfect coach, they
Yeah.
are afraid to show up because they are afraid that they're gonna see something wrong. They're not
Yeah.
gonna do the job the way they expected for them, and they're not gonna show up. They're not gonna show up for the sessions they paid for.
Yeah.
They will show up and they will feel like they've done something wrong and
Yeah.
they're gonna have to be punished for it. And that's not you want to create with your clients. Actually showing you have mistakes and then you are not flawless and then you're perfect. It's the best way to build a relationship with your clients and share your story.
Yeah.
You don't have to have amazing things happening in your life, like, I didn't break through an emotional healing, but I have so many friends who did, and all my life being kind of surrounded with it. That's why I understand this problematic so much, but I'm not going to make up a story about how I suffered from eating disorder, because I never did.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's also very true. Just be genuine and honest, with your story as well, because there's a lot of power in your story if it's genuine and real. And if you don't, make it up, because, that's also something that people exaggerate, sort of the situation that they have been, they sort of got, an eviction notice, or they have been like homeless for a day, but then they had to sleep on the couch of a friend, and now all of a sudden they're this homeless person who then got out of homelessness and became into becoming a millionaire or something like that. So your story is a powerful way to share your message, but it also should be genuine and real and not made up, because that will definitely backfire. And not only backfire in a way that where people sort of might find out the real story, but also you will feel internally off. And if you feel internally off, that will just bog you for the rest of your life, because you will know that there's something inside that just doesn't feel right, and it's just like this weight on your shoulders, which it's just gonna be not good for you.
Exactly. And at the end, it's not your words which are selling, it's your energy, and it's the power you have around yourself. And if you have this beautiful energy around you, and people feel safe and people feel great with your presence, they will buy whatever you have.
True.
If you are genuine, and if you are not feeling like an imposter because you are just pretending to be something.
Yeah. And I've also heard that where people really don't buy into what you say or what you are selling, but they more buy into you. And I feel like the more crowded this whole space of online businesses and coaches and trainers and all of that is getting, the more it is important to really sort of become a personality and just be real, be you, because that's what in the end matters the most. And not because everybody can teach the 5 steps to become a millionaire, but not everybody can teach it in the way you might do it, with the energy and just the the perspective that you have on things.
100%. Yeah.
So, let's continue with the story. You met this couple, in this cafe, you talked for a whole day. They asked, why don't you go online because you will burn out? You burned out. First of all, how did it feel, burning out, and what does it really mean? Because, I have never felt burnout. Yes, I have felt down from time to time. I woke up feeling low energy and all, but what does it really mean to be burned out?
Wow, a burnout is something which I hopefully never going to experience again, and something which you don't even like you don't even realize you do have burnout until you start looking into it. But what it didn't mean for me is that I was so into the new clinic I just opened, into all my clients, that I was literally writing out a meal plans, which, by the way, I don't write at all. Like now, last 2 years, I haven't been doing, well, last year and a half, I haven't been writing a single one of them because I don't like doing it.
Yeah.
But by then I felt that I need to, because they asked me for them. So I was writing meal plans till midnight.
Yeah.
And then getting up at 6 a.m. to going to the gym, because I was someone who just needed to work out a lot. And, then I just get on my day, and I was in the office from 8 o'clock in the morning till pretty much 8 p.m. and then doing the homework and going like that, and constantly thinking, like you can't switch off. And then at one day, I just couldn't get up from a bed. One day I felt like it was like a horrible flu, but I knew that I wasn't sick. And I felt like my whole body was just aching, and I was sleeping for 3 days in a row, pretty much. Wow. And what effect it has that I had to stop exercising like whatsoever for a certain period of time. I didn't felt like myself ever. Like, yes, now I am probably even better, but I didn't felt like myself. And I felt like whatever I will do, it's just so much effort to just getting up from a bed and doing something. And I didn't feel like I want to talk to anyone. And that's what I said to myself, like, if this is entrepreneurship, I want to have nothing to do with this. Yeah. Because I'm not going to be working my ass off for, those dollars I was making before, but actually I have no life. And, it led into more health problems, like weight problems, weight loss, weight gain, hair loss. My nails were up. Like, even though I was eating well, that's the thing. I was eating absolutely well, no junk food, nothing, nourishing myself, eating properly, exercising, doing yoga every single day. So you would say you have this amazing routine, but no, my body just said it was too much of stress, mental stress, that you burn out.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, as you said at the beginning, food and drinks and nutrition is just like 15% of the whole equation, I would say. And it's just like you're curing the symptoms, but not really curing the cause, right? So what lies beneath the surface is the actual emotions and feelings and challenges, struggles, internal beliefs that you are constantly, having, which are just bogging you down and giving you, this mental clutter, all day long, right?
Yeah. And that was pretty much my beginning of the career I'm running now. And I knew that back then it was a huge sign from the universe of telling me, like, yes, you can help everyone, but not this way.
Not this way. Yeah.
And
how did you?
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I mean, did you want to finish something here?
I just want to say, and that's when I met the couple, and I didn't look for anyone, to help me with getting online, but they showed me the easy way. They showed me that there is possibilities. There are possibilities. Yeah. And it's every single day I show up for my clients. I show up for myself. But the main thing which the burnout taught me is, no matter how you think that you are feeding your body well, if you don't have everything in order, it's not gonna work the way you want to.
And how did you got out of burnout? I mean, that's obviously like the state you are in. It's not like you have burnout now and now you don't have it. But obviously it's like a process or a journey that you got to pick yourself out of. And how did you, deal with that? And how did you get, out of this burnout situation?
Honestly, burnout is different for everyone else. For me, there was something that I had to stop exercising. I had to stop putting the physical pressure on my body because my body was recovering. Literally, it's like you would be in a car crash. Like, you can't get up, you can't do anything, you can't think straight. I took a holiday, which wasn't a holiday. I was literally sitting at home and doing nothing. And then one thing happened. Then I crashed on a skis. And I had a really, really bad concussion. And I was forced 3 months to stay home because I couldn't think.
Oh no.
So literally my burnout led me into this injury, which led me into absolutely amazing things.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but what I really have to do and what I experience with a lot of my clients is that when you're burning out, it's that your body's overloaded with so much of stress and it's inflamed. It's, it doesn't want to be you anymore. And it just wants to break and it wants to sleep and wants to heal. So in order to actually step back and allow yourself to sleep for 12, 14 hours a day, allow yourself to eat properly and lowering any stress you have on your body, that's the only important thing you have to be doing.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah. And sometimes amazing, how just doing nothing is actually sort of sometimes the cure to a lot of problems, right? To really just wind down, just, let your body be whatever it wants to be. And, in this state and just give it this time and space, I would say, to heal, himself, because, our human body is pretty damn amazing, what it can withstand and what it can do. And how much healing power it has in itself if you allow it to have, right? Because I believe like, I'm not an expert in this whatsoever, but I believe like the mental and, body connection, it needs to be sort of aligned in order for the body to actually heal. Because if the body, has some kind of injury, but the mind, is not really aligned with actually healing it, it's going to take longer, right? For the body to actually heal and do something with it. Am I correct here in my assumption?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Okay. And that's pretty much the secret, not the secret, I'm not teaching any secrets, but that's the key what I'm teaching my clients, that being in a over controlling your body, being in a constant control and over micromanaging everything with actually every single time leads into losing the control. And when you don't have your mind and your body connected, when they don't communicate together, because you think that the way you think and you figure out are better for your body, there's going to become a problem. And the problem starts showing up as a symptoms. For some people who wants to be always perfect in the way of eating, it starts showing up as a binge eating, emotional eating, like overeating for no reason. But there is a reason. But the one thing which the society lead us to do is to go on a stricter diet, because obviously your willpower is too weak. But that's not about willpower. That's about your body telling you, can you please stop and listen to me and eat because I'm hungry. But when we feel hungry, what the diet industry tells you, go and busy yourself, go exercise, go drink water, go and call your friend. None of the advices, like if you Google, what shall I do when I'm hungry? There is millions and millions of responses, and not one of them is eat.
Really? It's crazy.
So crazy. When you're hungry, eat, please.
Yeah, eat, whenever you feel like it, eat. It's always, also very interesting, because I have, heard from a lot of people that sometimes they feel like their body is controlling them instead of they controlling their body, Yes. And how do you see that? Is that the right way of thinking? Or, it's just like very interesting, because I always feel like I can control a lot of when it comes to, illnesses. I feel like a lot of it is mental power, I would say, because I always know, like whenever I start to get a cold, I tell myself I'm healthy. I'm healthy, there's nothing there. And I feel like my body reacts to that, and the immune system is just like, fighting it off. Whereas a lot of other people, they're just like, oh, I don't feel good, I'm probably gonna get sick, and then, they're gonna get sick. So it's just like sometimes the body is controlling you instead of you controlling the body.
Yeah, there are two ways how to look at this. And the first way is that definitely your body and your mind, the connection is so strong that you literally, when you can control your mind in a good positive way, and you can control the flow of energy within yourself, then you can control your body. But if you're trying to over control and overrule your body will always take over.
Yeah.
Because I like to say it that way, but I know that's not correct. We have two brains. We don't really, but we can have two brains.
Yeah.
And the one brain is the small brain, which is inside of our head. It's the little hypothalamus. It's the primal brain. And this brain doesn't do anything else than literally keeps you alive. It regulates your heart rate. It regulates your blood pressure. It regulates your hormones. It regulates your hunger and your fullness. It literally regulates your reproductive system.
Yeah.
Without this, we would be that, because these are all involuntary things. We do have heart rate, which elevates when we exercise, because our pituitary gland tells our body that we need to increase heart rate.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to overall with your big brain, this little one, it start protesting. It's going to start protesting and start acting on its own.
Yeah.
So, when you feel that you want to control your body in a ways that it's not natural for it, and your body feels threatened by, let's say, not eating, starving. And that's the one thing. When your body feels that it's threatened because it's going to die from a death of starvation, it's going to take over, because that's the primal brain, which is stronger than your bigger brain. But when we can communicate those two together, when we can join them together, we can create this amazing harmony in our body. And as you said, we can increase your immune system just by a simple thought of, well, I might not feel that well, but I know if I'm just going to take rest, I'll be fine tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
And then someone else comes, and that's the negative thought, and say, that was a stressful day. I'm going to calm down with proper cold and I'm going to be lying for 2 weeks. Yes, they will, because they believe in that.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible, like how much power thoughts have. Not only for our whole journey or for our own self belief, but also for the body, as we just said. Like if you have this alignment with the mind and body, what amazing things not only the body can do, but you as a person in the end can do. If you believe in certain things that they will and can come true. It just it like amazes me every single day, like how amazing the human mind can be, and how powerful the thoughts and how important they also are, right? Because as you just said, like you can either look at it from the positive point of view, where like I'm gonna be fine, like I need some rest, but I will be fine. I will figure things out. Whatever comes in my way, I will be able to overcome that challenge. If you see things from that perspective, you will go so much further in life, and the journey you're going to be on will be so much more enjoyable as well, because you're going to see the things that are coming your way as sort of like, I would say, playful challenges which you want to overcome to get to the next step in the game, I would say. But if you look at it from the perspective, it's going to suck, it's going to be so much hardship, it's going to be so much stress, and I don't know how to do that, then the same thing will apply, where whatever you're going to do will feel like a threat to you. Well, everything you do will just feel like, I just don't want to do that. And all the journeys, like all the challenges that will come your way, will just bog you down so much, where at some point you will either get burned out, as perhaps you have done, or you just want to quit and you just don't want to do it. Right. Yeah. So that's absolutely incredible how important thoughts are.
The one really awesome thing, well, not awesome, one really bad thing I see, but it's kind of awesome as well. Awesome thing, again, bad thing I see in entrepreneurship is that we are pushing so hard.
Yeah,
we getting up every single morning, doing all the work which needs to be done, and stop not even taking care of ourselves. Yeah. And it's getting harder and harder and harder to show up every single day. And what I see often is, women are, putting on a weight they don't even noticing on, because they are under eating over the day because they don't have time, and then overeating at the night because their body just needs to take over. So it's actually start eating. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's hard for them to show up. And when you see them online, because we all see each other now online, they kind of look drained. They have gray faces, like even they try to speak with a beautiful energy, it's just not right there. And then they doubt themselves, the energy is not there. Rather than thinking positively, they're thinking what they've done wrong, and everything is kind of turning in the wrong way. And they're definitely not just self-sabotaging their health, but their business as well. True. Because they are not able to see what they need to do. and keep pushing. And then because they put on a weight, because they haven't been taking care of themselves, they start a diet, which takes even more energy away from them.
It's just
And
like
that
the
leads
cycle.
cycle. Yeah. So dieting, no energy, then eating, putting on a weight, no energy.
Yeah, exactly.
And they burn out. They have adrenal fatigue, they burn out, they have health problems when they want to conceive and have a babies, they are not able to.
Yeah.
And they are frustrated, and at some point they're going to stop showing in their business because they don't want to even look at themselves anymore.
Yeah. And it just like crawls up on you, right? You know, as you said, like they don't even notice that they're gaining weight, or, you know, they don't even notice or are aware that they have, you know, limiting beliefs or problems, but it just like crawls up on you like very sneakily, and just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it goes like, as you said, in the cycle where in the end you are like at a point where like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what is happening? You know, and then you just realize that something needs to change. But, you know, sometimes, you know, it's just sad to see that, you know, sometimes we need to get to that point where it's like, you know, rock bottom. Like you are just like rock bottom point where you realize that you need to change something. And I believe that every single human being will get to such a point, you know, at some point in their life where they need to make a change, and they realize that they need to make a change in order to progress in their life in the direction that they want to go to. You had the burnout. I personally had a car crash where I nearly died, where I realized that I need to change something in my life. I don't want to waste my life and play video games all day. I actually want to create something which is going to give me the freedom, you know, that I can enjoy my life, you know, to the fullest that I can. You know, people have car crashes. People, you know, have things where they realize I need to change something, you know, and I wish that people would realize that before having such a rock bottom moment. But I feel like sometimes they just, you know, need to figure that out, you know, themselves, and need to go through that, you know, personally. But, you know, it's sad to see that it's the case like that.
Yeah, you know, how many times a day I feel like I'm talking to someone and I know that they need to work with me because not because I want to have an outlet client, but because I can actually change their life around, because they've been suffering for years and years, but they don't see it. They don't see, they just want the next diet. And when I refuse to give them the next diet, they don't want to work with me. And I'm like, I know you will come back maybe in a year or two, but hopefully it's not going to be too late. So I just want to say, when you start looking for the next diet, if you're listening to anyone, if you start looking for the next diet, stop and look on the last diet you've just done, how different you think it's going to be.
It's crazy. And, you know, sometimes I feel like the people that need it the most will ask for help the least, you know, because that it's just like, you know, and the people that don't really need it, they, you know, well, they still need it, but in a way that isn't really that super, you know, like the pressure is so on that they really, really need it. They still, you know, get the help because they are aware that, you know, it can help them get to the next level. But people that need it the most, I don't know if they're like why there's so much resistance, or if it's like an ego thing or whatever it is that is, you know, stopping them from actually getting the help. You know, have you, you know, what's your thought on that? What's stopping?
Honestly, in regards to health and, you know, the holistic health and wellness, it's the dieting industry, because we've been brainwashed. We've been brainwashed into thinking that there is a magic pill, there is a magic way of eating, there is one way which solves everything, and people are afraid to think outside of the box because they've been closed in the one dark, horrible, moldy box for a really, really long time, and they're afraid to open it. And that's the same way, and it affects everything. They are less confident. They're waiting for when I'm gonna be skinnier, when I'm gonna be nicer. That's when I'm gonna start my own business. That's when people start buying off me. That's when I'm gonna have the new opportunity in my life. That's when I find my new partner. And they stop showing up for themselves because they don't believe in themselves. And they crumble. They crumble, they don't do anything. You know, how many times I had clients working with me and they said, I came to you because I wanted to lose weight. But what I got was a new life. And, you know, they start taking universities lessons, something which they always wanted to do, but they were waiting for the perfect timing. They start taking the opportunities by hands, not by waiting on someone handing it over to them. They quit their job they didn't like and started a career, and they love that. But they said before, because they weren't confident and they were so stuck in the mindset that they are failing at every single way of their life, that they were afraid to take any actions.
Yeah. And it's, also, that's what I also noticed, that a lot of people, they wait for the perfect moment. They wait, until this actually finally happens before they actually going to do this. And, this cycle just continues on and on and on, because it just gives them the comfort that, I'm just going to wait for a little bit, because, then will be the perfect time. And when the perfect time will come, I will do that and will turn out great. And they're like, I've recently read the book, The Alchemist. I don't know if you have read it, but basically, one passage where, they talked about, dreams and, just going after your dreams, and where like one of the, characters said that a lot of people, they would rather wish or just dream about getting to the dream, but they don't take the necessary actions because they are afraid that they will never get there. So they would rather just, wish and dream about making it a reality, but they don't take the necessary steps. And I feel like this is like a lot of people, and this is so true, where a lot of people would rather just think about achieving this dream because it just in their mind gives them this perception and this good feeling about actually achieving it. But actually taking this journey and doing the steps is so scary to them that they feel like, I might not be able to do that. So I will just not do that. And I would just like to have it in my mind all the time.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to it. And there are two fears, which I experience in my own journey. And I know that every single of my client experience. And that's a fear of failure, of what if. But there's also the fear, which is way stronger. And that's a fear of success.
True. Yeah.
Because the responsibility they feel it's going to come with the success, that they're going to have to change everything, that they're going to have to keep the way what they achieved.
Yeah.
It's actually feeling like there's so much of effort that they don't want to even go that way, because they can't imagine, because they've never been there. They failed 5 times, 20 times, 50 times. They can imagine how it's going to feel. It's going to suck, but they can get through it and they will start all over again.
Yeah.
But actually succeeding, that's a huge drive into not even starting.
That's very true. And, personally, I've never really understood, the fear of success, because I was like, why should you be afraid of succeeding? I never really understood, what it was behind that, until I reflected and I realized that I personally have a lot of the fear of success, because, as an entrepreneur or somebody who's perhaps now working a job, you have created sort of this comfortable bubble that you live in, right? You can pay your expenses, you're sort of comfortable, you can have a little bit of free time, you're working on something that perhaps might be meaningful to you, but you're so comfortable that you don't want to get out of this comfort zone in a way to get to the stage which is uncertain, which is uncomfortable perhaps, but is the part where you actually succeed and have success, right? So it's incredible, because I've never realized that I would have, such a fear of success, but I do, and, as you said, like, it's going to be responsibility, you're going to need to sort of keep up with that success. So you need to put in the work, you need to change, routines, you need to change, the way you do things. And this is what people, a lot of times actually fear more than actually the fear of failure. Right.
Yeah. And I am definitely guilty of fear of success. I was afraid if I'm going to become successful, that my friend's going to stop talking to me. My family is going to start looking at me through their fingers. I'm going to have to move again somewhere. I'm going to have to move in a bigger house because I can't live in the same house, like with more money or something. And I'm going to have to change everything. But the one person who actually helped me to get through the fear of success was my husband. He's like, well, if you don't want to do anything out of it, don't.
Yeah.
And this simple sentence was like the aha moment, is like, that's right. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, you don't have to.
And I'm sure when I get there, I will feel like I want to do it.
Yeah, that's very powerful. It's very powerful because, in the end, nobody is forcing you, it's your decision. And that's, also the great thing about being a human being. You are in a position to decide. You can literally say, I want to go, the route of entrepreneurship. I want to do this business. I want to do this or that, or I don't want to do it. It's up to you. It's in your hands. And I believe that sometimes people don't realize that, where they feel like everything is planned for them and they are destined to go this one route and they can do anything else. Yeah. And I wish I could open those eyes, and tell them, like, you are in the position to decide. It is up to you to either you can, go that route, or you can do this, whatever you want, it's up to you. It's a matter of deciding right now, I want to do that. Right. So, I love the question, like, hey, you don't have to do that. Like, so why don't you just don't do it? But then you realize, but I do want to do it, like internally, I do want to do that. I want to have the impact. I want to provide, to the world, in a way that I feel right, where I speak my truth. Right. So that's, a cool, like, just perspective to view on.
Yeah. And that definitely can implies into, as you said, we can decide to take, we can decide to change. We can decide to have all the things. The same way we are in charge of which body we will be living in. Yes, some things are genes, but 80% is your own decision. But what matters most is how you get to that body. And that's what the business is the same. You can decide what business you want, but it matters how you get there. You can struggle 5, 10, 20 years, and then you finally reach your goal. Or you can have fun, enjoy every single day, and just love the ride.
Yeah, that's super powerful, because if you are able to enjoy the process, and you are on a journey where there are going to be challenges, and you got to be aware of that. As an entrepreneur, there will always be ups and downs and challenges and rocks that are being thrown in your way. But if you are able to embrace those things, if you are like, okay, they will come at some point, but I will make it fun. I will actually grow out of those challenges, and I will get to the next step. That will be such a better journey, to get to where at some point you want to be. But in the end, even if you get to that point where you want to be, you will always have this bigger goal, and this bigger goal, which you want to get to at some point, right? So it never stops, right?
Exactly. It never stops. But if you enjoy the journey, it doesn't never have to stop, because you won't feel like I'm finally reached the goal and now I can stop.
Exactly. Nobody wants that. And I feel like, once, like, even if people think that this is what they want, I have the goal to, I don't know, write this book, this is my life goal, then they achieve it and they're like, what now? Like, what now? Like, now all of a sudden you don't have any meaning. You wake up and you're like, what now? Like, you need to find like another goal or a mission that you, can go on to continue the journey. Right. Yeah. So what is, some piece of advice that you can give to people that, might be in a situation where not only they struggle with, eating disorders, where they feel like this is their go-to solution to a lot of the stress, a lot of the, struggles that they're experiencing, as entrepreneurs mainly, because a lot of people seek comfort in food, right? Because this is where they get a lot of pleasure, I would say, and, become happy, and they just escape the reality by eating a lot of food, right? What are some other ways that people can cope with that?
Wow, that's a very good question, but there's no simple answer for it, because we struggle with food with many, many reasons. And the one common thing, the one thing which I would recommend anyone to do is actually to start listening to your body. If you are feeling that you need a comfort in a food, ask yourself why, rather than bringing judgment. Rather than bringing like, oh my God, you ate another tub of ice cream, you are useless, you letting yourself down, who you want to become. Rather than having this negative talk, start bringing curiosity into the life. Yeah. And every single time when you do something you are not really proud of, and it could be, like I used to get drunk. I don't even drink anymore. Like the last few years I haven't been drinking. But when you feel like you did something which you are not proud of, and that could be for eating the whole bar of chocolate, or binging on the McDonald's or something like that, rather than feel like a total failure, ask yourself why, and start bringing the curiosity into the place. And was it because I was hungry? Was it because I needed care? I needed comfort? Was it because I was actually on a diet in the last 2 weeks and I was starving after a juice cleanse? Was it because that's actually evoked some good memories in me, and then I wanted to bring those memories? Your body always takes over when you feel like your body acts for you. Your body always takes over when it feels threatened. Yeah. So when it feels threatened, that's the time when ask why. Not judge it, because your body always wants the best for you.
Mm. Yeah. So basically just listen to your body and, go deeper into sort of like the root beliefs or the root causes that make you feel, the way you
Mm.
feel, instead of just, because like a lot of people can just go eat and basically cover this struggle or pain or challenge, whatever they have, with food, and they will feel good for the next hour or two, but then it will get back with even stronger force, and it will, as we said already, it will cycle itself, sneakily, to a point where you don't feel good at all, about your body, about your life, about your business, and you just burn out, where you just get to a
Mm.
place where it just sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
The one thing I would like to close this
Mhm.
off is that dieting industry, it's a multi-billion-dollar
Yeah,
industry. It's
true.
like at this moment, it's the one of the biggest industry after pharmaceutical.
Hmm.
And the only purpose of this industry is to sell you more products,
Yeah,
more diets, more supplements, more fancy things. But the one thing which that industry doesn't have is to take care of your well-being, because they don't want you to get better. They want
true.
you to get hooked on.
Yeah.
So if you are hooked in that industry, which about 85% of women are,
Mhm.
start thinking outside of the box, because then you get out of the cycle.
Yeah, that's very scary. If you think about it, that there's actually an industry that, feeds itself off of the challenges and the pain that, women and men have when it comes to dieting and nutrition. And they sell it as this next best thing, and you will get better. But in the end, it's just designed for you to try it, get back to your old habits, try it, get back to your old habits, and just buy and buy and buy more shit, which will in the end, not do anything, rather than get you to the place where you realize there's just something internally off that you need to actually work on, instead of going with the next diet.
Yeah, my next marketing move is weight loss pizza. So if
Weightless
anyone wants a weight loss
pizza.
pizza, let me
Yeah.
know. I've got the recipe.
Yeah, weightless pizza. Okay, so since we are closing sort of off the interview here, just a couple of more questions that I would love to ask you. What is your go-to soul food, I would say?
My soul food.
Yeah.
Wow. I've got so many. I love a good bread,
Uh-huh.
good sourdough homemade bread, but
Mm.
I also love chocolate peanut butter. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, like
And
fresh baked
combine
bread
those
is
two
good.
together.
Hmm. Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Oh yeah, I love that. No, like fresh like baked bread. That's like
Yes.
perfect. Love it. Fantastic. Okay, another question. Now since you have talked, like you just dropped the keyword there, proud, and I just wanted to ask you, what are in your life or in your journey are you the most proud of as of now?
Of being myself and showing up for myself every single day and for
Hmm.
everyone else with the highest intentions. Never pretend to be anyone else, and
Yeah.
always be genuine and honest.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's awesome, but it's also very hard to do, right?
Yeah.
Because we get taught,
Oh,
well, like the conditioning that we go through while we're growing up, and the layers we basically put on our true authentic self, they are big and thick, and like to peel them off one by one to go and sort of like get your
onion.
true authentic self, yeah, like an onion, to get it out is incredibly hard to do, right?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
journey.
So I think I think I'm peeling off the last layers of the onion to become a garlic or something.
And like in the end, you're just a garlic instead of like an onion. Awesome. And next question, if you could recommend 3 books for people that want to basically live their best life, not only physically, mentally, personally, business wise, your top 3 books that you would recommend to anybody, what would they be?
Wow. It always comes up what I read the last time, the
Mhm.
last one. But one great book for any women, it's Women's Wellness Wisdom from Dr.
Mhm.
Libby. She's a New Zealand nutritionist, dietitian, and she's absolutely amazing. And there's
Mhm.
everything written in there. Another thing, which would be more of business development, would be The Big Leap
Oh
from
yeah.
Jay Hendricks. Absolutely eye-opening book
Hmm.
of actually allowing yourself to take the aligned actions.
Yeah.
And the last one would be from probably Gabrielle Bernstein.
Mm.
Universe has your back.
You're back. Yeah.
Universe has got your back. It's about actually understanding that if you align your mind with your actions, everything will happen the right way.
Yeah, those are fantastic books. I listened to The Big Leap and, The Universe Has Your Back, for sure, and definitely recommend those. So thank you for the recommendations there. Okay, and the last question, which I usually ask, by the end of the interview, and I love those answers, to this question. If you had the possibility to teach the entire world one single concept, one thought, or one exercise that they would understand and do to make the whole world a better place, what would it be?
Eat when you're hungry.
Eat when you're I love that. That's awesome. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Absolutely. It's that don't try to mimic or suppress your, your basic feelings, your primal instincts, and give into them and understand of what they are meaning. And then when you are actually hungry, like physically hungry, the only right things to do is to eat.
Yeah, I love that. All right, fantastic. So Vera, if people want to find out more about you or, get in touch with you, how can they find you?
So the easiest way is to find me on my website, www.veraprazak.com, or on a Facebook, my private group, which I absolutely love, Eating for Happiness. All right. It's a must for every single woman.
Fantastic. I will leave the links in the description down below, guys. So if you want to check out, Vera, or you want to get in touch with her or get, join into her Facebook group, then, definitely check out the links in the description down below. So yeah, with that said, Vera, is there anything else you would love to add to the end of the interview? Otherwise, we would wrap it up right here.
No, I loved every single moment of this, and I hope that everyone's going to have so much of revelation and never getting on a next diet again.
Fantastic. All right. So guys, if you enjoyed this interview, then, let me know in the comments down below, like this video, and also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more interviews just like this one. And Vera, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hop on this interview and this podcast. I really enjoyed talking to you, and yeah, wishing you a great night in New Zealand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.